good evening-ish, YouTube. This is Tyler Metalhead Weatherman. Hopefully you guys have had a good hump day so far, or you're still going through hump day. Either way, hope you guys are doing well. So, I mentioned in previous videos today, it looked like it was going to be a severe weather day. And I guess you could say that was half right. Towards the west has been really the area of interest today. That's where all the action has been. If you actually look over towards the Great Lakes Basin, nothing has really been going on here. No storms have really initiated. If anything, there have been more storm reports in central and northern Michigan from earlier today. As far as storms over here, there's really nothing. And there's been more activity over here towards the west than there have been over here, and even then, that's not much. Parameters have really dropped off over in this region over the last few runs, and storms haven't even initiated. The time we were expecting storms to initiate about 2 hours ago yesterday, so I think we're in a window here where if nothing really forms in the next couple hours, I don't expect anything magnanimous. And the environment around it just doesn't seem to be meshing well. Even if we look at even when I looked at the synopsis earlier, I was noticing a downtrend. So I won't say the threat is entirely over for the Great Lakes Basin in the Northeast, but it doesn't look like it doesn't look as threatening. I guess I'll put it that way. So we'll go ahead and take a look at what the HRRR has to offer for us tonight. But really, beyond that, I don't see too much going on at all. I don't even see much in the way of rain coming in until maybe almost midnight for that region at all, if anything at all. And then by the time we get into the morning hours, it's just going to be a rainy Thursday and for the first half of the day. And then by the afternoon, I'm thinking we're going to be already clearing most of this rain. There is a front that's associated with this that should start to cool down the Northeast, and this will be a trendsetter for the weather ahead. But so just hang in there for another day, one rainy day ahead, and then cooler temperatures should be on the horizon for you guys up north. As for the storm threat to the west, I'm expecting storm coverage to diminish and drop below severe limits pretty soon, I would say. I probably would guess in the next 2 to 3 hours. So I'm gonna say maybe 9-10 o'clock. Most of these storms will be either below severe limits or just out of the area in general. Our low pressure will be passing over the area into the overnight hours, and then by Thursday, weather's pretty calm. So now that we've gone over that, let's go ahead and talk about the tropics too while we're at it. We have a now Category 4 hurricane in Hurricane Fiona. We have Tropical Storm Gadsden, which is also strengthened, dropping to 1,000 millibars with winds at 65 miles an hour. These two are not threats to land. Well, Gadsden is not a threat to land. Fiona is a threat to the Atlantic or Canada Atlantic, or I don't remember what the exact term that they referred that they were referring to it as. What they being I'm trying to remember exactly what it was that I read. I don't know if it was cyclocane or if it was the NHC or not. But we'll watch Fiona for any sort of impacts as far as land is concerned in Canada. But we also have to look at these 3 tropical waves here. There's quite a lot going on here. We'll go ahead and look at the 5-day outlook to get an idea of the tracks for these 3. This wave that's furthest to the east, coming off the west coast of Africa, is going to get flung up into the flung up and out into sea within the next 5 days, pretty quickly. I don't expect this to form very quick. It could form very quickly, but I don't expect it to last very long. I'll put it that way. There's a brief period here where I could see this forming into a depression, maybe at most a tropical storm. There's a 50% chance of that developing within the next 5 days. Then we have this area right here that's just past the Cabo Verde. This area is heading into a relatively unfavorable environment, and there's a very slim chance of development, but there's a chance it could develop very slowly, I should say. Now, this is the storm that we're going to be watching very, very closely over the next few days. This is the one that is this is one that's been prompting very concerning model runs with this heading into the environment that it's tracking towards. I'm expecting over the next 48 to 72 hours that this really starts to take shape here, and this could become a very hazardous, very dangerous storm. In fact, if we read this right here, we can see that a Air Force Reserve reconnaissance craft is expected to survey the storm this evening. So it'll be really interesting to see just what kind of readings that we get off of this. If we look at it on satellite, there's not really a whole lot going on with it yet. It's not very organized. So this is towards the end of the satellite run. Storms are all over the place, very discombobulated. But I do expect over the next, like I said, the next 48, 72 hours, this will get its act together as it gets into a very favorable environment, relatively untapped environment, and really starts to blossom. As to whether or not this one becomes Hermine, it's actually a toss-up, to be honest, because this is a pretty impressive tropical wave right here. Has a little bit of spin to it, so this could very well become Hermine before it. This could also become Hermine before it, and the next one after Hermine would be Ian. I have to actually go ahead and look back to see what the J name would be, but yeah, simply put, the tropics are on fire right now. Like everything, like this is peak hurricane season, and this is what you would expect for this time of year. Not like what we saw in August, where there was just dead calm seas, maybe a couple of tropical waves here and there. Also, I would like to mention that recently I made a playlist for this channel on all of my tropical weather videos so far for 2022. So I'll leave that link in the top right corner here so you guys can check that out. So now what we're going to do before we finish up the video is we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at our most recent model runs and get an idea of what we could be dealing with either Hermine or Ian. Whatever the case, this could be a very dangerous storm possibly. There's a lot of land for this to interact with. It's very alarming. So here we are, it's 48 hours out. You can see those little isobars coming around it, starting to get its act together. GFS may very well make it look a lot like Fiona here. I don't think it's gonna. I hope it doesn't get to this point, because that would be very alarming. Because I've been saying it a bunch of times since I've started seeing these runs. The Gulf Coast needs to be watching this extremely close. So GFS has it kind of pushing a little bit more to the west, and of course, and unfortunately, it does get into the Gulf, and then Then this system really starts to blossom here. Becomes a major hurricane, and then yeah, we've gained a little bit of a trend towards the west here, and now we're looking at maybe Tallahassee and maybe Tallahassee, Mobile, according to the GFS here, as far as major hurricane landfall there. And then going through the southeast and causing a lot of grief. Okay. So we'll have to watch that real close, and hopefully this scenario doesn't play out. But I don't know. We've been seeing this run for several days now. We're hoping it changes, but whenever we start seeing the GFS and the Euro, both the ensemble and the operational models, in agreement like we are right now, or like we have been over the last few days, that's when we start to become a little bit more concerned. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. My internet went out a little bit earlier. I was hoping I wasn't getting another one of those. But we're going to go ahead and run through this real quick. It's about 54 hours out. Euro has it forming a little bit slower than the GFS does, but not by much. Uh-oh. Gotten a little bit ahead of myself there. So this moves a little bit further along. Keep in mind though, this is also the 12Z. The 18Z hasn't even started loading yet for the euro. So this could look entirely different within the next couple of hours. So the euro, as far as I know, based off of 12Z, is keeping this a little further to the east. But this is putting areas like Tampa, maybe Panama City, Destin, is putting you guys in the line of fire. This isn't loading now. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. So now we have this going through Central Florida as well. And then it meanders over the southeast, which if this comes true, this could become a big flood threat for the south and east, for the southeast part of the U.S. here. So we'll have a lot of interesting runs here, but one thing has not changed is that this is expected to become a very strong storm should this trend continue. And right now, as of right at the moment, I don't see any reason as to why it doesn't, unfortunately. So again, anyone on the Gulf, around the Gulf Coast, around Florida, you need to be watching this storm more and more over the next couple of days. Once this thing forms, if I were you, I would try to start preparing to either evacuate, board up your home, do whatever you feel you need to do. But don't sleep on this, because it's going to be on us by the end of the month before we know it. So, but my other bits of advice here would be, don't be scared, be weather aware, be prepared. And we'll get through this. I'll be making videos throughout the week, so hopefully you guys are happy to watch those. If not, there's plenty of other YouTubers and TV stations you could watch. There's a Weather Channel. But to anyone that does watch, I appreciate you greatly. But this is the end of the video here. I'll have an update on this situation tomorrow. But until then, this has been Ty, Metalhead Weatherman. You guys have a good night.